It's gonna be quite something. But David, we'll go ahead and bring you on in, man. David Vannostran with the Ultimate Chemicals. You've been tell us a little bit about yourself and where you hail from.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. I guess come from Oklahoma City. Ultimate Chemicals is we've been around since 2010 and more or less oriented towards the natural gas pipeline compression. That's our number one industry. In fact, we're the number one in the industry as far as our all of our chemical flushes, and then as well as our cooler cleaner for the fin-fan, coolers and radiators.
Right. Now, I guess you ship all over the world.
Yes, we have. In fact, there's some articles out there on a link that you'll put on your site. You were telling me that shows we have a distributor for South America, Central America, Mexico, African continent as well. Plus, also we've got a distributor for India.
Right.
In fact, we'll be represented this year again at India Energy Week coming up in February.
Wow. My question to you is, how do you see? I mean, is your business staying steady? I mean, you guys making a go of it, or you've probably seen it better. You've probably seen it worse. Well,
we're not like other chemical companies in this industry. We're not anything downhole or anything like that. We started off with our badass degreaser. It's the best degreaser out there, and anybody that tries it has never told us they like something better. In fact, you can pick it up here locally at
Board
Supply.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Go see Eric Gola.
Yep, and then also our cooler cleaner is what we really was especially known for when we started. Basically keeping these things clean enough to where, especially in the summertime when high heat happens and all this, that you can keep your systems running. They're not going down on temps. So it's actually used more than, our CC300 is used more than any other chemical to clean the coolers in the industry right now.
And so basically you're talking about like the radiators of those things, right? Where, if you don't get airflow through, and as dusty as we are out here in this part of the world, that's got to be a constant deal.
Well, and the hard water that we have in this country,
the alkaline,
too.
Yeah, there used to be a practice of, spraying water onto them, during the summer to keep them cool, and boy, that'll scale them up quick. And we've got descaler as well, but the thing is to keep them clean, keep them, where you can get that good heat rejection. And then probably 2/3 of it is going to be what's going on the inside of these cooling systems. It's kind of been, neglected. And our company, like I said, it's all customer driven. Guys come up to us when we were out there cleaning coolers years ago and said, "Hey, what can you do about this black stuff that all burn up inside?" Well, Kevin, my partner, he attacked that, and it's sort of like Edison. He can tell you 1,000 ways not to do it. But,
Well, I mean, that's what he said. What did you think when you first made the light bulb? He said, I figured I made 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Exactly.
But, that's what you got to do. Now, both of y'all have chemical engineering background, or just...
Actually, Kevin is the main chemist. I've got too many hours to try to get my chemistry degree.
Your boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I got you.
And the thing is, like I said, he worked for many years with a couple of chemical companies, and then started his own in 2010. And I came along 7.5 years ago and just started going out and seeing, hey, what's your problem? What's your pain? How can we help you?
Right.
And these guys were more than welcome to, hey, try this. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And that's how we've developed all these chemicals that we have now to help keep these things clean and running nice.
Well, with the EPA, the chemical business has to be some kind of a red tape nightmare.
Well, fortunately, everything that we've got can be, we've actually shipped it to just about every state in the union. So we haven't had any EPA problems. We have all of our SDS sheets, where it has a link right on our label on the product. Mm-hmm. Plus, we have we're the only chemical company out there that has all the SDSs listed out on the site at ultimatechemicals.com. Now, we finally finished the final piece of our puzzle, which is what we're really proud of. We call it the Royal Flush. Why not? Because we've got 5 flushes that'll clean out all the different types of contamination inside of a cooling system. And when you're talking about, like, say, a gas compressor running off a 3516 Caterpillar, and you're looking at number one, it started off with our heavy-duty flush, which is where it just burns up. It's just burnt glycol, and that stuff will just get just clogged in through the tubes. And we were started off getting the hard samples, taking that, sending it to a lab for about $350 to get a sample analysis done, do an XRD spectrum analysis, and tells us what it is, and it's like, okay, now we can go at it. And
you're going to attack it.
Exactly.
Right.
And don't hurt anything else. Hell, we've still got our flushes sitting around with all sorts of seals and gaskets that still do no harm to any of those things, still sitting there after years. So we do no harm, like, but also we've also got our PM flush. That's the one that we sell probably the most of, and that'll basically go after any kind of oil that gets into your cooling system. You also get, any kind of dirt and any kind of silicate dropout from the spent coolant. And that runs for about 10 days and it takes care of it.
Well, David, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. This is so interesting, man. Time's just getting away from me. David Vannostran with Ultimate Chemicals, and it's ultimatechemicals.com. But again, sounds like you've got this thing cornered, man. I can't wait to learn more. Stick around, folks. We'll be back with David and more right after this on the Exploring Energy Tuesday edition. Stay with us, won't you? Okay, get back to the man at hand here, David Vannostran. And David, very interesting. You were talking about just finding a problem. I mean, you and Butch on the break were going at some stuff, and so really, what you guys have is not limited.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of what we call chemical circulations on dehighs, stabilizers, glycol contactors, just going through the whole system to get rid of contaminations. It all starts with a sample. And going back to, the cooling system flushes, like I said, we've got 5. I talked about the heavy-duty flush for the burnt glycol, the preventive maintenance flush for the oil and the, spent coolant, which has the silica dropout. We also have our rust removal flush, which we find that in 95% of all the tests, actually, just the water. And a lot of people don't run a good rust inhibitor, with their coolant mix. And we do make a corrosion rust inhibitor for that as well. We had to get
to help prevent the rust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
And we have something, you add about 3% of our corrosion rust inhibitor to your 50/50 coolant mix, and we're talking it keeps it 99% rust free. It's all online, shows all the lab reports there on our online store. And we have an oil contamination flush. That's where you lose an oil cooler and you can't tell the difference between your oil and your coolant.
Yeah.
And that's
looks like you got milk in there.
Oh, yeah. And, we don't sell a lot of that because it's a rare thing, but when it happens, we got the right stuff. And then the newest one we came out, it was had an article in Gas Compression Magazine in September. It's our phosphate fix, PO4 fix. Now, every day, like right now, today, someone's going to run Cascade or put degreaser in their cooling system thinking they're going to get rid of some oil. And what that does is with the modern glycols, it creates phosphates. And the whole article out there, there's a link to it there on your website.
On our Facebook page, yes, sir.
Ours. And what it does is it removes all the phosphates from your cooling system. Detergents, degreasers just aren't made for this, and it creates some phosphates. The other cool thing is it'll also take care of all the rust. So it's an added benefit. So it just depends on what you got. So some people may have, I got some burnt glycol, and it looks like we got rust, but we have little phosphates because we ran some, Cascade back when. Well, you run these 2 different types of flushes, and it gets it back to 0 hour.
So basically, for the average everyday person out there listening that's in the gas compression business or above ground production, what do you need from them? Do you go out there physically and get a sample, or do they bring you a sample, they mail you a sample, or do they just tell you their issue and you take care of it?
Well, I tell you what, we've gone a long way since we had to get hard samples when there's the solids. The best thing is, by the time you see it in your sight glass, it's kind of like a dummy light that comes on in your car, right? So we have actually partnered with Lab 1 Inc., which is over in Phoenix. It's the best lab in the country that we found, and they go through and do our version of an enhanced coolant analysis. So that way we're able to get the information we need just as if we had the solids, but we get it ahead of time. So instead of having to run a heavy-duty flush twice, we can catch it early enough to only run it through once. And that way it's not just, packing all the cooler, the jacket water cooler and all this kind of stuff, and catch it early enough to know how many parts per million that they can test with and say, okay, you're getting into the red, you need to go ahead and take care of this, and here's the remedy. And your enhanced cooler analysis you run from our website, you mail it off to them, and basically hopefully get it from like 3 different places there on the engine, where you can get it down by the lowest point you can, get it around the water pump, and probably a little bit from a valve up there by the surge tank.
Now, do y'all have a little kit?
Well, actually, they'll mail it to you. You order it from our website, they send it out to you, and within 48 hours, they get it. Man, it's online, and you can go out there and look at your whole entire fleet. And, at GMRC, in fact, a big conference here this year, they were saying that, we got to go to predictive maintenance, where, it's like having a check engine light on your system to say, oh, here's rust.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Yes. And that way they can take that test and be able to say, oh, hey, yeah, we can check it out and test quarterly and be able to say, oh, for example, you might have a high lead level. Well, that's going to show that you're losing a bearing. You can see, that all the rust is coming up. We need to go ahead and, do a rust removal flush on this, and probably run a corrosion rust inhibitor on it as well. Keep that 99% rust free.
Well, I think back in years past, especially on D-highs, you mentioned that a while ago. What we would do on a contact tower is we'd go out and we would circulate a hydrochloric or sulfuric acid flush, mix it with water, flush it, then flush it with clear water, and then go back online with it. And now if you've got something that breaks that down, because, that was a quick fix.
Yeah. Well, if you have the analysis, then you know what you're battling, so you can target that.
And that's some pretty serious acids right there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Of course, we mixed it. You don't mix it that stout, but still, you're dealing with some pretty horrid chemicals out there,
right,
on the fly.
Handling is an issue.
Ours would be more of a depends, but mostly for dehighs and glycol contactors, we're looking at a little higher pH, so it's more of a on a caustic side, but it's not just caustic. It's going to be caustic that's mixed intelligently with the right surfactants to be able to separate that stuff and break it apart and dissolve it.
Surfactants makes water wetter.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Man, this is so interesting. Again, we're visiting with David Vannostran. He is the president of Ultimate Chemicals, and you can go to ultimatechemicals.com. Also, we have a quick link on our Facebook page that gets you to everything you need. But I know that there are people out there listening right now that are taking ownership in almost everything that you talk about, or at least some of that.
Well, I tell you what, I'll make an offer on this show. Right
Uh-oh.
Now. All right. So anybody out there who's got, a mechanic that's got, 20, 30, or even more, sadly enough, units that they're responsible for, if you go out to our website and you order one of our enhanced coolant analysis tests, use a discount code, a coupon code of ECA free test, and that'll get you where you can take your biggest problem and be able to actually order one test, save you $35 and be able to, get the results on that, and then call me up. We'll talk about it.
Okay, what's that promo code again?
It's going to be free ECA free test. That's ECA free test, all one
like
word.
Edward Charlie Apple free test.
You got
ECA free test.
If you have any questions, you can call me personally at 972-523-2974.
Man, like I said, time just flies by. We're at the bottom of the hour. Stick around. I'd like to continue our visit. Yes.
Well, you've connected all his information to Facebook too, haven't you?
I did. Yeah. Good. Yeah. His phone number's on there, along with the link to the site, and so that free promo code again is
ECA free test.
ECA free test. See, you're saving money just by listening to the show. We're going to be back with more right after this. Speaking of faces, we got David Vannostran. He's prettying up the show here for sure, smartening up the show too.
That David, doesn't take much.
I'll tell you, man, the information that you're giving on, keeping your equipment clean, keeping your equipment operational, rust free. These are all the things that cause downtime, and downtime's money.
Well, it's not just downtime. Sure, downtime has been, the biggest heartache that people have out there, running these natural gas compressors and even drilling rigs. For example, we had one company that was running 4 gensets on a drilling rig. So it transposes over to that industry as well. We started cleaning the coolers every other month, and lo and behold, all of a sudden they do flushes on them, make everything 0 hour on the inside. Now they're only having to run 3 at 100% rather than 4 of those at about 70%. Oh, just think of all the diesel they save each day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the cost of diesel nowadays. I mean, how many compressors you think are sitting out here in western Oklahoma and East Texas Panhandle?
Well,
a couple.
Yeah.
I know Nick Blank and the mustache. He's a mechanic on compressors, and they keep him hooked smooth up.
Oh yeah. Well, we try to make it, like I said, a little bit easier. You keep the outside, clean. At least clean the coolers once, twice a year, maybe, and then make sure clean out the inside. Before. The thing is, we got it to where we used to have it about every 2 years. You'd run a PM flush, trying to guesswork it and keep things as clean as you can. Now you can intelligently get that test, just like going to the doctor, like we were talking about. You get your blood work, every 90 days. And hell, GMRC is saying now to do quarterly testing to really stay on top of things. And of course, the solid test is about $350, whereas now it's only $35 for an enhanced coolant analysis to give us the information that we would need to be able to go out and do it. See, we used to get paid to go out and do the flushes. We wouldn't sell the flush. Now we sell the flushes because we've done thousands of these flushes. So now we've got it down to such a science that, sure, we can sell it to some third-party company or directly to the midstream company, and they can do it themselves.
And David, you were telling me that during COVID, you really put a lot of work into your online, into your website, and now they can order almost everything. Every product you got can be ordered online now?
Oh, yeah. We used to be happy if we got maybe, 5 people to hit our website, once a week, once a month, back when I started. But now it's like, we may get anywhere from 20 to 50 hits a day on our website.
I bet you get more than that after this little bit.
I tell you, and the neat thing is like when COVID hit, you couldn't go see anybody. Heck,
right.
There were, even OG&E, we were supposed to clean OG&E and stuff, and it was like they're utilities, so they were out there and staying in trailers. They couldn't even leave the site. So it changed a lot of things, but our business didn't suffer really. What I did is I took 2020, I took October and November, and built this website basically. And we're the only company in the natural gas compression industry that has all of our products online, where you can buy them online store.
And all the ingredients, what's in everything.
Oh, yeah. All the SDSs are out there. Any questions? You starts off, you have 3 tabs on there. It tells you, here's the information about the product, before and after pictures, how to use it. There's a directions tab, tells you how to mix it if it needs mixing or not mixing, how to apply it, how to rinse it. And then there's the safety tab that has, your safety data sheet. There's even a link on every one of them where you can go to all safety data sheets and go to one page and just pick out whichever product, click on it. There's the, PDF right there for you.
You got the QR code thing going on too.
Yeah, every label's got a QR code on it, so you're right where to buy the product, where to get the information.
Takes you right to it.
Takes you right.
How many do you want? Click here and ship it.
That's right. And
and if you have a supervisor or inspector show up on location, you got it sitting there. Well, what's that? Well, it's flush. Well, what's in it? Or, where's the MSDS sheet? Scan the code, you pull it right up on your iPhone, and you've got it right there.
Oh, yeah. Hey, do you got an SDS for that? No, you got a smartphone?
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it a lot.
Yeah, man. David Vannostran here, the president of Ultimate Chemicals. So interesting because you're in the business of making people's life easier. And first of all, you talked about you've got something that helps clean it from the outside.
Yes.
That you spray on and it just degreases whatever's in there comes out. Because if you can't keep those fins open, you can't keep those cooling tubes with that airflow, then you're not getting coolant. And we all know what happens to motors when they overheat.
Oh, exactly. And then with our badass degreaser to keep the whole entire skid clean, because ambient temperatures plays about a 12% effect on that as well, as far as raising the temperatures. So in fact, I'm working on a book on natural gas engine cooling systems that I've been talked into or shoved into by some people in the business.
Voluntold.
Oh, I've been voluntold by one of my gurus, Al Hunt, from he worked for Caterpillar for about 40 years, and there's a lot of fellows might be listening to this even that work for Al. And I said, Al, man, it's like, with COVID hitting, it's like we've lost this mentorship. A lot of the
Right.
other guys, have left the industry and stuff. And I said, where are they getting that education from? And he says, well, you need to write a book. I said, well, you need to write it with me. And he's like, no, you write it. I'll give you everything I got, and I'll help you with it. But no, you write it. And so it's like, okay, so
Nice.
I've got it probably about a third of the way done. I'm just waiting to get with all the manufacturers on some of their key data that they would authorize to publish and so on.
Let us know, and we'll help you launch that deal, man.
Definitely,
I'm telling you.
definitely. And it will be published by Gas Compression Magazine also.
Well, and we've done this for years. When it first started out, doing oil samples, every time you did an oil change on an engine, send it in for analysis. That was hard to get started. But once it took off, everybody does it now. Why not carry that on? Because you've got more lubricants than what's just running the crankcase of that engine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a big thing they were speaking about with subsystems. They did a big, educational thing at GMRC about, subsystems and, of course, lube oil systems. And then they also had, talked about cooling systems. And, man, they're saying quarterly testing, and that's just like having check engine lights to see where's your rust level, what's this at, how much oil do you have in your coolant, so on. And that way here's how to take care of it and how to keep it clean.
Have you ever had anybody throw something at you that you were like, the old head scratch?
Well, actually, can't mention names. Not gonna call anybody out.
Good call.
I'm going to protect
there was
The innocent.
Western Oklahoma over here. Sure enough, it was like, somebody put some Simple Green in one of these, which is basically our phosphate fix. And that's where we first said, well, here you go. Kevin said, I think I got a solve on this. Sure enough, then we'd have to wait for another one because we don't have these systems, sitting around and test with. So another one would come in and we'd get a lab result. Hey, look at the phosphates. Let's give this a shot again, we're getting paid to do it, not just sell the chemical back then. And so it's like we find the solution and stuff. And like I said, it's taken about 3 years for each one of these to come to market to make sure it's thoroughly tested and tried and true. And the phosphate fix, the PO4 fix, that gets rid of all the phosphates and it gets rid of all the rust. And you run it 4 hours at temp while it's running, and it takes care of it. The rust removal flush, if you just had rust, it takes 2 hours at temp, and that'll get rid of all the rust inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it just makes sense. All right, we pull a sample this quarter. We've got 5% rust, for an example.
Yeah.
You pull one in the following quarter, and you've got 15%. You've got a problem, and it's growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So get ahead of it.
Well,
instead of when it just seizes up and when it doesn't circulate anymore.
Exactly. And then when you take care of that rust with the rust removal flush, when you fill it back with your 50-50 mix, the other thing you need to make sure of is that other 50 is going to be deionized.
Put your corrosion.
And then also add that corrosion rust inhibitor, because if it has rusted that much already, it's got all this little micro cavitation all throughout the pipes and everything. And you want to make sure that those are all protected, because that'll be more likely to rust, that bare metal.
Yep.
So the return on investment in this thing is just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even hardly put a pen or pencil to it.
Well, like our cooler cleaner, we were out very close to this area again, not going to name names, and the fellow was telling us, says, man, I'm only running he was running a 10 million cubic foot a day on this system, and he hadn't washed coolers since last year. And we get out there to wash the coolers, and he's like, well, I'm only running about 6 million cubic foot load on this engine. And so we go out there and clean the coolers. When we clean them, we look at the guy with us and says, hey, everything good? Yep, thumbs up, we're done. And they're shining usually. And this guy says, oh man, I'm back to 10 million cubic foot. Just think about losing 3-4 million cubic foot a day. Especially when you're looking at a transmission fee of about $6 for 1,000 cubic foot.
Right.
That's $6,000 for a million cubic foot.
So you guys still actually go out to locations and take care of this.
We've got crews to go out and clean. We clean probably more coolers in Oklahoma than anybody else. We clean, and our chemical is as far as us having certified service providers. Oh, I think we probably clean more coolers, out in West Texas and so on than anyone else singly. And our CC300 chemical is used to clean more natural gas compression coolers than anybody else's chemical in the business.
ECA free is the promo code.
ECA free test.
ECA free test, the promo code. Go to ultimatechemicals.com. David Vannostran, here's his number, 972-523-2974. 972-523-2974. We've upped our standards, so up yours. That's what's on the bottom of the card. I had to read it. I love it. And your number one degreaser is?
Badass degreaser.
Badass degreaser. So that basically is in the name.
And now we've proven I have a face for radio.
David,
That's why we're here.
I am. So I appreciate you. You're welcome to stick around. We got a mop-up segment here, but David Vannostran, president of ultimatechemicals.com. Very, very interesting. And I think you're going to get some hits on your site, man. I really do. Here's that phone number again, 972-523-2974 or ultimatechemicals.com. ECA free test is the promo code. Save you $35 and go on there and get your kit ordered and start being proactive instead of reactive.
Thank you, fellas, for having me on. Appreciate you.
Oh, you kidding me, man? You made the show fantastic.